Welcome back to Blake's Craft Beer Podcast. My name is Blake Longfellow. I'm in Englewood, Ohio, with this wonderful guy. We've gone back probably a long way by now, but I always enjoy talking with him. I'm excited to get him on the podcast. Please introduce yourself and tell me where we're at today.
What's going on, Blake? Greg Raps Kaysen. Been in the industry for almost 8 years now, so yeah, man, good to catch up.
Does it feel like 8 years, or?
A few of them are a little longer than the others, for sure. But no, man, it's good. It's good to kind of find a home, so to speak, and find something that you're passionate about and follow it.
Right. So what led you into craft beer in the first place?
Man, I tell folks it sounds cheesy, but I got into craft beer for like this experience, right? Like meeting cool people and being able to kind of converse with people that maybe you wouldn't run into normally. I've had craft beer and been in breweries all over the country, and I've been in places where there was nothing that looked like me as a person of color for miles around. I've been in places where it was the opposite, and everything around the brewery looked like me, but maybe not many things in the brewery looked like me. And I've never had a bad experience, right? It's not to say that the industry is perfect. It definitely isn't. There are a lot of things that we could do to kind of push that in the right direction. But overall, I think it is a welcoming community, and I haven't ever had an issue. And so going into a brewery has always been something where I could find a point of commonality with somebody. It was always kind of a safe space in that regard, and I wanted to help build and provide more safe spaces for people.
Like, I don't think, people outside of craft beer don't get it. When you're like, oh, you're going brewery hopping, oh, you're just going to bars. And I'm like, it's more than just a bar. I mean, it's the people there. Most of the breweries, you go to are always welcoming, and most of the time the beers are good, but all that. But a lot of the conversations you have at the brewery means more than. I mean, your stuff should still be good, but
Yeah, man. I think overall, it is a welcoming community. Like, there are for sure pockets that maybe aren't, but that kind of gets into more of, is it the patrons in the brewery or is it the brewery itself, right? Because you can't always fix is the wrong word. You can't always navigate that, right? Like, sometimes you're in an area and it is maybe not as welcoming, and so those are situations that are a little more touch and go. But like I said, man, I've all over the place, and I've never had an issue with it. And so I think it's good for breweries to kind of be more than a bar, right? I like to akin it to, like, maybe our parents, they used to go to bowling alleys, right? They would take their kids with them to bowling alleys, and it was acceptable to have a beverage in a bowling alley, an adult beverage, right? And breweries are kind of that now. Like, it's not frowned at to bring a kid to a brewery, right? A lot of us have themes or particular things for kids to be included. And so, again, just making a safe space and a fun, entertaining space for everybody.
Because, sometimes you see on Facebook or something like that, people complain about kids being in the brewery. I'm like,
yeah. I get it to a degree, and I think for me personally, I wouldn't want to be in a brewery that was for kids, right? But as someone who has friends who have kids, I would like to be in a brewery that is accepting of them, right? Like, I don't want it to be the focal point. I don't want you to have, like, a slide or, like, I don't want it to be we're bringing the kids here so that they can, like, go crazy, right? But somewhere where they can like kind of be and do their own thing, I think that's good.
Because, like there's a lot of Cincinnati there. It seems like it's both where kids can go off, like I think at 50 West right away, where they can go play volleyball and stuff like that. And you can just hang out and let them have some fun, and you can have fun on your own,
Outside space is always good. But craft beer is getting older, and I think that we have to do things to ground ourselves to the younger part of our demographic. And millennials and Gen Z, they have younger kids. And if we want to maintain that demographic, we need to do things to allow them to feel comfortable in the space.
Right. So you went to Barrel House for a little bit. So how was that like? Because Barrel House is always a fun place for me to go to, and
yeah, we'll run through it real quick. So I was part of the initial founding and opening group for Elmatic Artisan Ales. I was a part of that for 4 years roughly, and then we'll call it creative differences, right? And so I walked away from it. I was able to transition to Barrel House pretty seamlessly. And that was just another good place for me to be. Safe space, inviting space, focused on beer, and good people, right? And so Barrel House was great, man. I still moonlight there. I'm there once or twice a month. I do some DJ sets over there. I do a bunch of stuff in Barrel. Good people. And then I transitioned to Full Circle. Like, I wanted to get back into the brewery scene. This is kind of more of a home base for me. Barrel House is such a it's kind of a transient spot. So like, people come and they bounce, and it's because if people are downtown, they're going here and here and here, right? It's not like, oh, well, this is the destination, and then we're just parked for 2 hours. Like, usually folks are on the move, and I couldn't completely build relationships like I like to there. Like, I like to meet cool people like yourself and be able to kind of connect and have conversations, and you can't always do that in Barrel House. Like, Friday, Saturday night, it's just crazy. Like, we're just turning and burning. And so getting to a space that is a little smaller, or, well, larger than Barrel House, but smaller in a brewery sense, with some good people. Don and Franz Kirschner opened this place. It was just good for me to be able to get back to the brewery side of things.
So what was about Full Circle to you and just felt right? Because you talked about how you want to get back, and so how did you choose here?
So I had known Don and Franz for a while, kind of through Elmatic. Don used to be an event coordinator and do a bunch of stuff for Boonshoff Children's Museum, and we used to do some collaborations with them. And so we had kind of worked with her, and I kind of formed a relationship with them that way. And then Don and Franz would come in from time to time, and Don and her mom would come in a lot, and I started calling her Mom, because she was in all the time. And so when I decided to leave Ale, I wanted to tell people close to me, like, hey, this is what's going on, right? And so I said something to Dawn, and she was like, well, we're going to do our own thing, and we'd love to have you if you were interested. Like, it's a few years away, but, we'd love to talk to you about it. And at the time, I really didn't want to do that. I just kind of wanted to take a beat and kind of be a guy, and Barrel House was a good space for that. I didn't have to manage a tap room. I didn't have to hire or fire. I didn't have to do anything except for pour beer. But again, it didn't give me the connection with people that I really wanted. And so when we circled back to Full Circle, once they had opened and they were going, it was the right move.
Because this was a part of, like, I look at some parts of Dayton that needed one, and this was definitely something I felt like Englewood really needed their own.
For
brewery.
sure. There was definitely a need in Englewood. It's a different demographic than I'm used to age-wise. It's a little bit older out here, but the city is trying to do some stuff to kind of appeal to younger folks. Because they're here, they just go elsewhere. They leave Englewood to do things. The oldest demographic, according to a survey, is 55 plus and then under 10. And so there clearly is someone having those 10-year-old and under kids, but they aren't participating in the city. And so there's a couple committees and some action groups that have gotten together in the last 4 to 5 months that are trying to really pinpoint some of that stuff.
Because Englewood has always been confusing just from a choice, because you all of a sudden you're Englewood, then you're Clayton. So where's the border, what you would say?
I couldn't tell you. It is kind of a hodgepodge, like Englewood, Clayton, Troutwood. Like, it's kind of, there's an area of Huber that is Dayton, Fairborn, and Riverside, all within like a block of each other. It's kind of like that out here. To me, I consider the larger portion of it Englewood. I don't know enough about Clayton to really talk to it. But there's enough in Englewood to kind of, I think, make it the larger pool of those areas. But yeah, it needed a brewery. It needed something to kind of allow people to get a break from sports bars and dive bars. Right? So this fills that middle ground.
Because this reminds me of like an old school brewery, no TVs. It's just pure, just talk, maybe little board games in there. It's a different vibe than, it's almost like a Yellow Springs type of vibe,
For sure. Don and Franz definitely, they didn't like give themselves this term, but they've kind of embraced it. They're kind of granola, right? Like, they do kind of fit into the kind of stereotypical Yellow Springs mindset. Like, all of the seating in here is second or third lifespan, right? All of the wood is reclaimed, like the bar is repurposed. Everything has had a prior life. That's kind of the whole thing behind the name, right? Full Circle. So we want to take as many things as we can and reuse them and give them another life. Like, we've got a half-acre garden outside with over 350 different varieties, and we grow a lot of herbs and fruits out there, and it's kind of small, but it's more than enough for us to put in the kombucha and to occasionally be able to put it in the beer also.
Speaking of beer, which beer you think I should start with? You want to talk about?
I think we should start with that Vienna Lager, man.
All right.
I think I put them in an order to transition you.
All right,
So
cool.
your palate doesn't blow out.
Hey, if you want to start with the Russian Imperial, I was like, all right. I'll never forget when I did Garrett Hickey one time out of Street Side. He started off, I think, with Speak of the Devil or something like that, so you knew that
Oh, yeah.
it was going to be an interesting show
Yeah.
right off the bat. But so talk to me about the Vienna.
So our head brewer here, Nate Powell, really good at traditional styles. And the brewery as a whole has kind of leaned into traditional styles. I think we've kind of started to get away from some of that the past 6 months. That's kind of been part of my push, is for us to kind of diversify just a little bit. super important to hit every market and have something for every palate. But Nate for sure kills traditional styles, and I think this is a really good take on a Vienna lager. It gives you the nice toasted oat at the front, transitions into a soft caramel, toffee palate depending, and then finishes just like a light beer, right?
You were talking about having a mixture of both. What is your good balance in your opinion on what you should have as a tap room?
Man, I think people hate to hear it, but you got to have IPAs and you got to have a lot of them. We've got 3 on tap right now. We've got a hazy, a double, and a black IPA. I wouldn't be mad if we had 2 hazies, right? It's such a large part of the market. You have to fill it. Like, there are for sure people who don't like IPAs, but from a numbers stance, that's our biggest demographic, right? Like, I usually do this like visual presentation, but this is a podcast, so it won't make sense. But like, if your brewery needs to make X amount of money to survive, it is much easier to find that money in an IPA demographic. So yeah, you need IPAs. You need your light styles, your domestic substitutes, if you will. You need something for the person that's going to come in with a craft beer knowledgeable group and is like, well, I drink Bud, I drink Miller, what do you have? And you also just need, like, the light, crushable, refreshing, low ABV beer. We fill that with, we've got a Pilsner and a Kolsch that we kind of rotate back and forth between. We have a Hefeweizen on a decent amount of time. But other than that, I think you have to do a sour, a fruit beer. Like, that is another large part of the market. And specifically, it is a part that, again, if we get a group that is craft beer knowledgeable and someone isn't, if we have 3 couples and 3 of them are into craft beer and 3 of them aren't, we need something that doesn't, quote, taste like beer, right? We need something, particularly if you don't have the license to carry wine or cider, if you aren't producing either of those things, you have to have a substitute. And so we've started getting into sours here. We're going to start doing more of them. We just kind of had to get the program up and running.
So what type of sours are you doing? Are you doing the ones just the easy ones where you don't have to worry about contamination on anything?
We are currently not doing your wild sours. We're not doing any Brett sours. There's a place for them. I appreciate them. I just don't love them personally. But that also is a whole nother thing, right? To your point, like, there's a whole nother side of contamination and risk with that. We aren't really big enough for that. We don't have a designated space that we could say this is going to be our legit sour program. So yeah, we're going to do kettle sours. We're doing Berliner Weisses, fruited Berliner Weisses. That's where we'll kind of lay our hat at.
So a lot of people are still asking for sours and
100%.
Berliner. So that still hasn't gone away.
No. I don't think it'll ever go away. I think it might get quiet at times because sours have kind of fallen into the seasonal trap. But again, like, if you aren't providing cider, wine, cocktails, you have to have something for the non-beer drinker. And the easiest way to do that is to get a fruited sour that, if we're saying 0 to 10, 0 is not tart at all, 10 is why would you make this, 0 is not sweet at all, 10 is chewing on sugar. You want it to land somewhere between 4 tart and probably 6 sweet. right? Like right there, kind of in the middle, but enough to let somebody know that it's tart, but not aggressive, and enough to have it be sweet, but not turn people off. And I think Urban Artifact has given everybody the blueprint for how to do that. And even, Gadget's close to 8%. And the Midwest Fruit Tart series is also high ABV. So you can still make big beers as sours. It's not this thing where it's like, oh, we're making these fruit drinks. Like, you can do whatever you want with it. I just think it's a necessary part right now. The same way I always want to have something dark on tap. Like, I don't believe in seasonal rules. We don't play by them here. We will always have at least one, if not two, dark beers on tap. Like right now, we have a Russian Imperial, we have an Irish Stout, we have a coffee porter, and I mean, depending on how you consider it, we've got a black IPA, right? And so, hate seasonal rules. We will drop seasonal beers, like we drop this Irish Stout on St. Patty's Day. Next year, we're going to do an Irish Red for it. We'll do those kind of theme drops, but overall, we don't care about seasonal stuff.
All right, let's go and get into the hazy.
Yeah, Sunlight Through Fog. This is a slightly juice-forward IPA, but it's definitely still got some dry backbone to it. There's some Nelson in there that I think kind of showcases the most. But it's a good, I think, change of pace hazy from all of the kind of juice bombs and the kind of overly citrus-forward hazies that are out there. I like the fact that there's a little bit of a dry finish on this one, just so that it still does remind you of kind of, it's just that side of the IPA, right?
It's a pleasant change because, like you said, some of them are like very fruited, or some. It's nice to have like a little dry hazy.
Yeah.
And I like when people try something like this that are drink, some of the hazies are very hazy and juicy and stuff. And when they are they people like surprised at first on how dry it is, or?
I think some are, because I think that, again, that's kind of the market right now. Like you need the juice bomb, so to speak. And we have one, but we want to break it up,
right?
And so we'll actually be dropping another hazy in like the next 2 or 3 weeks. Because, like I said, it's not a bad thing to have two of them on tap, and this one will lean more towards that juice side.
Because do you guys make any like bitter IPAs, or you guys try to stay away from that?
No, I think you got to do it all. We've done a couple. We've done a West Coast. We've done a couple American IPAs. The next, for our anniversary, one of the beers that we're going to do is going to be a big West Coast IPA. Like, I want to chew through it. And so...
sign me up for that.
Yeah, we're definitely going to cross into that, too.
Because you just don't see many of those anymore either.
Yeah, I think they started to have a resurgence within the last year and a half. I think there was kind of some New England IPA fatigue, and you started to see not just American and West Coast IPAs coming back, but some of the more traditional styles. Like you saw lagers come back. You saw some of the lighter styles come back to the forefront. And so, again, I can't stress enough, like IPAs are such a big part of the demographic. You have to hit everything.
Because another one we talked about it a little bit is with the black IPA, and it's something you start seeing more in Dayton. For sure. But, you come from Alamatic. You guys always had one there.
Yeah.
Had one on Heavier and Air. I think Loose Ends has one as well. I know Bach Family has one as well. I don't know if it's just us, a Dayton thing, or is it black IPA something that is starting to go outwards?
I think it has made a comeback. I don't have proof of this, but I have a theory as to why they disappeared for a while. Because, at a point, like, they were big, right? Especially in Ohio. Black Raja, right? Like, that was a big beer for a minute. But I think as craft beer kind of grew, I like to make the joke, craft beer racism is a real thing. And I think people just had a hard time in that early stage of craft beer booming, accepting that an IPA could be that color. Like, you put that in a glass and say, here's an IPA, and somebody's immediate reaction is, oh, I don't drink dark beer, right? And I think it was just hard to get over that stigma, and bartenders can't always explain it the right way. They may not have time to explain it the right way. But, I think in its best form, a black IPA is like a porter and an IPA had a baby, right? Mm-hmm. So you get light to medium roast up front, and then that transitions into a middle-of-the-road bitter. And I think that's what the style is supposed to be.
No, because you haven't heard it yet, but it's coming with a municipal. They had a red IPA on too, which is another one you just hadn't seen.
It's a throwback for sure.
Yeah, and I always like when you guys make these flights for me and you bring something back that I just hadn't had in a while. It's always fun to have it again, and because red IPAs were another one that made it was like the black IPAs that couldn't be red.
Yeah. Yeah. Beer racism, man.
Because I mentioned I like to see brute IPAs come back a little bit as well.
Yeah, I don't know if that one's going to come back.
Probably not. I can't push my luck too far.
Yeah.
Okay? It's just like Belgian beer. It's like I would like someone to make a really good Belgian.
We do a decent amount of Belgian stuff here, but Belgian stuff is so fickle. The market is so split. And so, we've got a dark Belgian on right now that I think is really good. And we're going to do another one I guess I can talk about that. We're doing a collab with Heavier Than Air, and that'll be a dark Belgian with some fun stuff in it.
I can't wait to try that one.
So, yeah.
Yeah, because I think the only one around here that's had a Belgian on consistently was Toxic.
Sure.
They've constantly, every time I got in there, they always had. I think it's called Abbey or something like that.
They got a bunch.
Some of them are like they have a quadruple Belgium. It's like, oh boy.
Yeah. Early in the game, they had like a very specific Belgian yeast that like nobody was using, and so Pat was throwing in everything in the beginning for sure. Mm-hmm. Those recipes, a lot of those have still stuck around, even though he's kind of on other things.
Right. But Toxic's always one of those that always have my heart because they were like one of the first ones around here. So let's get into 3. I think I had this the last time I was with you, but I absolutely love it. The coffee porter.
Yeah. So we did a collab with Boston Stoker. Their first location is in Englewood. We got with some of their production team and their distribution leads, and kind of came up with a couple versions of what we wanted to do. We first released this same beer, the same porter, with their Highlander grog, or the grog as they call it, and that flew out of here. And then we kind of split the batch, and so the second half of it we used their hazelnut coffee for. And blasphemy for me to say, like, I'm not a huge grog person. Mm-hmm. It's a little too sweet for me. But it worked in the beer. That said, like, I just like the balance on this one better. I think the coffee gets to be coffee and isn't overshadowed by anything else. and I think it really gets to kind of blend and balance with the roasted notes from the porter.
No, I always have a sweet spot for coffee beers, and Ohio has, including you guys, where I think some of the best coffee beers come from Ohio. I don't know what it is with Ohio, but
We got a lot of roasters out here,
Yeah.
man. There's a lot of good coffee outfits out here. We've done a lot of stuff with Blue Bus Coffee out here at Full Circle. I've worked with Pettibone. I've worked with, Namesake Coffee is another great group. There's plenty of good coffee out here. And so I think that it's good that there's a lot of kind of unique takes. Coffee is a lot like beer. Like, there's so much nuance to it. Like, contrary to kind of popular approach, if you really want to get nuance and flavor from your coffee when you put it in a beer, it needs to be a light roast. Light roast coffee has more flavors. Like, you can get some of the berry and some of the fruit notes and tones that come through coffee with a light roast. I personally, for my drinking pleasure, prefer it to be as dark as possible.
Right.
But for nuance and creativity, you gotta go light.
So when you guys put the coffee in the beer, do you grind it up or you put it in whole?
Depends. There's a bunch of ways to do it. With this batch, with this particular beer, we basically made a cold brew concentrate and kind of rationed it out into the beer. We've got another, like a golden ale that'll be dropping in the next probably 3 or 4 weeks. Again with Boston Stoker. That one we brewed in, right? And so fresh grind, and then you're essentially steeping and kind of boiling the coffee. And then we also conditioned on beans with that one. And so there's a bunch of ways to do it. It just kind of depends on what effects you want from it.
So what are some things you're liking in craft beer, and some things you don't like? Be as open as you want with this.
Things I like about craft beer.
Going on like right now.
Going on right now. I like that the space is trying to diversify itself. You see more women and people of color in positions, period, but specifically in higher positions in the craft beer landscape. I'm really big on windows and mirrors. I think that in order for a space to be comfortable, you need windows to know that the world does not look like you, and that is well and good. And you need mirrors to know that the world does look like you, and that is also well and good. And so if you want your tap room to be comfortable and approachable by all walks of life, you need to have all walks of life in it. And so the scene has been really showcasing and trying to diversify itself over the last couple of years, and I like that. Things I don't like about the scene, I don't love that there's this huge push to be restaurants. I want to clarify this statement before I really delve into it. I am by no means anti-food, but I think that there's a very particular way to do food, and I think that most of us get into this as beer people, not restaurant people. And so the blueprint has been done by multiple breweries in multiple cities. You don't have to have food. You can, but you need to do it the right way. Like, you need to have somebody that knows how to order, that knows how to specifically say, I can take these 5 items and make them 15 different entrees or items, right? Because food is dangerous, man. Like, in 10 years ago, microbreweries had a roughly 76% success rate, right? That is now down to roughly 59, 60, I believe. Restaurants that whole time have had roughly a 35% success rate, right? We're talking within the first 5 years of operation, 50% of restaurants close. It is just a dangerous gamble to me if you don't really know what you're doing to say we're going to take this business that we know is more than likely going to be successful and add this component that is less than positive on the outcome.
Right.
And so I think that we've seen breweries do it the right way. I think that we've seen breweries for sure come in and say, all right, we are going to have like dedicated food programs and we're going to bring in all the pieces and we're going to pay the people to make that successful, right? Like Loose Ends, great example, right? Great kitchen, good beer. They came in with the mindset, we are going to be a scratch kitchen and we're going to make beer, right? It is hard to do one thing well, let alone two. And so until you definitively know how to do one, I wouldn't jump to do the other.
What do you think the biggest risk in food is?
Just cost, man, management. I think it is just, and again, look, I'm not a restaurateur, right? So I can't even completely tell you all the pitfalls of it, but I'm adjacent. I know enough folks. I've seen enough. It is hard to say, all right, we're going to buy this much food for this week, and then we don't have the foot traffic to support it. Now what do we do with this food, right? Because if it's frozen food, if it's stuff that is non-perishable, so to speak, then you can sit on it, but you're not having the quality of food that's going to bring people in, right? And so to really do it well, you have to have fresh stuff, right? And so it's hard to manage, man. And again, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying do it well. I'm saying make sure that you use your resources and partner with the people around you to be successful at it.
Because, thinking about it, when I first, because I turned 21 in 14, but first started going out in Dayton, I think Hairless Hair might have been the only, I might be quoting myself wrong here, but the only one I remembered right away that had a kitchen, but they always had a small amount of food there. Like, you just go in there for pizza, which they make killer pizza, but Yeah,
and I think,
but then I thought, and all of a sudden it was like after COVID is like when people got worried, how do you make more profits? So,
100%.
But it's like, okay, let's open a kitchen. That way we have two money sources going on during COVID, because none of us knew how long we were going to be in that mess.
Yeah. Because, I think current numbers, micro brew pubs or microbreweries are 56, 57% successful. Brew pubs are 48% successful, right? And so, again, even if we're just talking about that slight margin, like that's pushing you from under to over, right? And I guess it really also comes down to like, what do you want to be, right? Do you want to be this big mammoth operation that is essentially a restaurant and a brewery? You can, like people do it, and Godspeed to you. I just think that we are in a time where every dollar counts, and it is going to be harder to do.
So what do you guys do for people? Because, one of the arguments I hear when about having a restaurant is, what do you do between 6 or 8 and when people want food and stuff like that? So what do you guys do here to help combat that? Yeah,
man. We used to have kind of a food hub next to us, but through some unfortunate circumstances, they aren't here anymore. And so we jumped into the food truck game. And we will always be a bring it with you, have a delivered space, right? Like, you don't want me to cook for you. So take advantage of these trucks when they're out here and bring whatever you want, whenever you want.
Because that's one thing I do. I mean, I do understand, like,
Yeah.
from 6, I don't know when people eat dinner anymore, but, you know,
Yeah, no, it
that
is.
time frame, you
6
know,
o'clock,
and then
yeah.
all of a sudden, because, I mean, I know, but I know some also people are not, like, smart enough to realize, oh, I could bring food here and that, so I just go somewhere else, you know. I wish people more understood, hey, you can bring food here and you'll be fine, you know.
100%. Yeah. And, you know, we're starting to kind of push that more on social media because we did have this group next door for a while, and people kind of got into the habit of being able to order that. Like, we had a kiosk set up so that you could order in-house and they would just walk it over to you. And so it's a learning curve for our immediate base, but yeah, going forward, just trucks and delivery.
So let's get into, you know me well enough here with the last beer you poured for me.
Yeah.
So the Russian Imperial. So talk to me about it.
Just a traditional Russian, like a good kind of old world view on it. Big, roasted, dry, 11.4%. Gives you all those deep notes, and doesn't overly hit you on top of the head.
No, and I mean it doesn't taste like 11% at all.
Yeah.
Those are always my favorite stouts, and the ones you can't tell.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Nate's good at hiding the alcohol.
yeah. Does he ever plan on putting this in a barrel?
We have a version that's got Weller oak chips in it right now.
Ooh, that sounds good.
We're just getting to the point where we're trying to work with some local folks to get barrels, but for now we're throwing chips and stuff.
No, that's, I mean, because you know this area just people love.
Yeah.
Dayton, Cincinnati, they love their barrel age.
For
Which
sure.
I'm proud. I'm lucky. I feel like I'm lucky to be in this type of area that, because you go other areas of Ohio and they're like, oh, you guys barrel aged, and some areas are like. So I'm just happy we're like. I always claim it's because we're close to Kentucky. I think that's part of it.
Yeah. We wanted to like really do like a proper barrel aged beer, but we also wanted to make sure that it was from somebody local. And so rather than just force it and buy something else, like we just waited till we made the contacts. And so we'll be doing one of those. I don't know. We'll probably toss something in a barrel within the next 3 or 4 months.
Do you guys plan on doing possibly a barley wine too?
There's conversation.
Because not many people around here do it. So I
Yeah.
know the argument against barley wine, it would just sit. But
Yeah, we're kind of in a good spot here where our system, we're running 2 barrels, and so we can split that and we can make a smaller batch of something if we really want to do something like a barley wine or something that's a little more experimental or pushing a boundary, so to speak. So yeah, I don't think there's a lot of stuff that's off the table for us. Just got to get there. We're a year and a half old, and
you guys feel like you've been out here longer than that. But
yeah, just a year and a half in. Second anniversary will be in September, and so I think it's just time for us to kind of make. I always like, you got to make the stuff that is important to you and that you're passionate about, but you also got to make the stuff that makes money. And so we're gonna do both.
like my biggest compliment to you guys is I've always liked your stuff, but each time I come back is like it's getting better and better and better, and I'm actually excited about what you guys are doing here.
Yeah, man. I think
I know part of it's learning this, like the brew system and stuff like that. I understand there's time that you just got to learn and try.
I don't know, man. I think those are always cop-outs when people say that. I think it is. I think candidly, as someone who's been in the position, I think the hardest thing to do as an owner is to understand that your opinion is not always the mass opinion. And as much as I, as an individual, love stouts and sours, I can't be a brewery that only makes stouts and sours, right? And so we have to diversify ourselves. And I think you got to find what the demographic needs and be able to sell to the people that can get to you in 5 minutes before the people that take 20. And so we kind of had to find that balance. And I think we're doing that now.
You mentioned earlier on how craft beer is getting better with making everyone feel welcome. What's more you think the craft beer scene can do to keep that moving forward in the right direction?
Man, that's a whole nother hour. In short, I think just implementing windows and mirrors. I think participating in the communities that you open up in. Like if you open in an urban area, do things to help support that community. Do fundraisers to ingratiate yourself to the people around you. Do not just be this thing that comes and helps start gentrification, which is a double-edged sword. But like do things to ingratiate yourself to the community and to kind of let them know that they can participate.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what's the biggest thing you do as an owner, but also as a bartender, to make sure people always feel welcome? And I'm assuming you've always been open book to me. If I have a question, you always answer it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like when you go to places, some places are better than others when it comes to that. Some places just want you to order and stuff like that. But if you have a question about something,
I think the secret sauce is music. I think music is one of those things that makes people, it evokes emotion, good or bad, right? Like if you walk into a space and you hear a song that you're familiar with, it instantaneously puts you not only at ease, so to speak, but also instantly makes it a little more fun, right? So trying to have music that does not kind of hit any of the extremes. So like no gangster rap, no extreme heavy metal, no country, like no twangy country, so to speak, no bluegrass, right? But like all the other stuff that's in the middle, which is still a very large amount of music, fill your space with all of it, right? Like have some hip hop, have some R&B, have some rock, have some pop, have some alternative, have some oldies. Do all this stuff that will make people feel safe and comfortable in your space.
Do you guys do a lot of events here, like through the week, try to help bring people in?
For sure. We've got a plant sale coming up. We do plant swaps, all kinds of green focused stuff. We've done talks with Waste Free Dayton. Deeply Rooted will be here this weekend, talking about how you can turn your outdoor space into kind of a native landscape. We've got, which we're about to open up for now, we've got a Sip and Stitch group that comes out here every night, or every Wednesday rather, and does kind of crochet and yarn work. We're doing it all, man. We're on Facebook, Full Circle Brewgarden. We're on Instagram, FC Brewgarden. And that's where we're pushing all this stuff at.
So what are some other things people should know about Full Circle they don't know about, and what's the most proud of moment you've had since you've been here?
I would say things to know. We are a brewery and a kombuchery. So we are, to my knowledge, the only brewery, for sure in the greater Dayton area, I think in the state, that has kombucha on tap, all made in-house. What has kind of made me feel good about this space is, again, just being able to get back to community and be able to keep making relationships.
Well, buddy, thank you so much for coming on. I've enjoyed having you on, and
It's always good to see you, man.
cheers.
Cheers.